Afternoon, welcome to Macau, and as you can see, it's FIA GT World Cup time, and as you can see, the cars are already on track. Now, the big news, this could become bigger news as the day goes on. You might notice there are some headlights on, and that is because the skies have clouded over in the last half hour or so, and as we approach our first race of the FIA GT World Cup, I want to welcome you to the 64th running of the Macau Grand Prix, but warn you that we possibly could have rain in the next hour or so. I'm Jonathan Green, alongside me, Alan Hyde.
We've had a couple of little drops of rain already, and only very light rain, just a feel in the air, but the weather forecast was that we would have a little bit of light rain, just a shower or two as the afternoon unfolds. And it's accurate to the weather forecast thus far. We've had a couple of little spots of rain just before the bikes went out on circuit. They've just had their warm-up for their Grand Prix at the end of this afternoon here at Macau. So weather may well take a part in this. It's certainly a lot darker than it has been for the 2 days so far of the Macau Grand Prix.
And if you don't know this geographical area of the world, we are literally at the mouth of the Pearl River estuary. We're right on the southernmost point of China, on the South China Sea, and so weather can change pretty quickly down here. Hong Kong, Zhuhai, and of course Macau. And when it comes in, and it can come in hard. I think back in the 80s, late 80s, there was a hurricane even, but thankfully, I'm not going to predict that, but yes, it's certainly going to make a big difference if it does. But we've got some stories about the GTs. We just spoke to the man of the hour, effectively, and I say that because he's making his debut here, but the man who's definitely taken this race weekend by storm in GT terms. And that, of course, is Robin Frins. We look at Lucas de Grassi, who is also a man who is on a mission for sure. But we literally spoke to Robin on the way into the booth a moment ago about his circumstances, because he's had a bit of a rock and roll time of it, hasn't he?
He said to us, do you not know what happened? And I thought there must be some kind of a reason why he hit the wall yesterday, had to come back to pit lane, have the car repaired, and then go out right at the end of the session. We didn't know, no. ABS, he had a problem with ABS, and when he hit the brakes, the wheels locked up, and that's why he hit the wall. So if you bear in mind that it was a brake problem, he got away very lightly.
Yeah, he did actually. It could have been a lot worse.
And that was the first time he's done so much as kissed the wall over the 2.5 days that we've had so far here at Macau.
And kissing walls at Macau is about the best advice I can give you. Because
do no more than that.
No more than that.
No.
And not a long lingering kiss either.
And do not shake hands, do not embrace, because they never, ever fail to cause a huge amount of damage.
The walls here at Macau don't kiss back.
No, no, they don't. They reject you.
Yes. Now, this race has become more and more prestigious as the years have gone on, and when you see the likes of Renger van der Zand, when you see the likes of Maro Engel, when you see the interest by the fans here for this race, and when you see the multitude from Honda to Lamborghini to Ferrari to Porsche, of course, and Audi and Mercedes, who have dominated the GT races in the last few years, you begin to understand that this is fast becoming almost the highlight of the weekend. Obviously Formula 3, obviously the guys involved in the main event will always steal the show, and they will again tomorrow, but the GTs have certainly made their mark.
Yeah, for manufacturers, this is a huge draw, and it's very clear as to why it would be a draw. Mercedes, Audi, BMW, Porsche, Honda, Ferrari, there's a Lamborghini. Just such a mix of mouth-watering machinery, and they are being showcased on the world stage.
I'll tell you what, there's a lot of nervous people. I've just had a confirmation that there are drops of rain out there, and that is going to be a concern, because it's actually the worst possible scenario. If it was wet, you could deal with it, and you know it's going to be wet. But here, given the way the track is, effectively you can have a few drops of rain, and all that does is create a slightly glinty, greasy surface, and then it's just, well, it's like being on an ice rink with roller skates.
And it is a green circuit as well, because overnight, of course, these are the roads of Macau, so they get dusty. There's buses, there's scooters, there's bikes, there's cars, there's taxis. all sorts of everyday traffic. Normally during the morning, that's washed away effectively by throughput of race traffic. However, we've only had 20 laps by cars on the circuit thus far today.
And we just got a glimpse of the ultimate Sao Paulo taxi driver. That is, of course, Lucas de Grassi. Very rude of me to talk of the Formula E champion and former Macau winner here in Formula 3, but he is a fantastic pedaler, and Lucas did not qualify as well as I'd hoped he might, but it's early days yet, isn't it?
It really is, and this a qualification race for the FIA GT World Cup and the SJM Macau GT Cup. And we'll get the opportunity to have a look inside at the office for the day of some real star drivers. We were saying yesterday how incredible it is that we have been able to attract top drivers, bearing in mind there is also a World Endurance Championship race this weekend.
And the biggest draw of all at Macau, and the man whose autograph is most wanted is this man here. They call him Mr. Macau. His name, Eduardo Mortara. He's driven in Formula 3, he's driven for Audi, and he's driven now for Mercedes. His teammate is Daniel Juncadella, and all three Mercedes were on the podium and in the press conference yesterday, all with wry smiles, and well, they might, because they pretty much annihilated the competition in qualifying. But that is qualifying, that's not the race. But I think they might just work in unison today to make those grey, resplendent Mercedes even wider than they already are here at Macau, as we look at Maro Engel's 999. I love the paint scheme, you won't miss it, will you?
You really won't. 3 Mercedes so far, and we've got another one to look at as well. Very neatly got out of the car as well for Maro Engel.
He's sprightly.
Really is, in the multicoloured Mercedes on the inside of row 2. Elects to hop out of the car.
What a great sight, looking above the famous Macau circuit here. Now, back in the 70s and 80s, in fact, the grid was further up. The actual racetrack, it was closer to the Mandarin, just before the Mandarin turn, in fact, and so they literally went off the start line into the corner. Now, of course, it's much further back. We're at the exit of Arben, the last corner here, as we look at Raffaele Marciello, the Italian, making his debut in GTs, but not his debut here at Macau. So he knows the track, but he has put on an impressive performance for a guy who isn't a regular here. I'm well impressed, to be honest.
I saw a quote from him yesterday along the lines of, I absolutely love this circuit. And how many times do you hear a race driver say that?
No, there isn't one that hasn't. I haven't anybody said, yeah, it's pretty dull, really.
No. That was an uneventful race.
Yeah, not much going on in that.
Things you won't hear at Macau.
Yeah, something to talk to. I mean, how about talking to the bike riders about here? Exhilarating at all?
Yeah. Couldn't agree more. We just actually spoke to Sergio Sette Camera from the Formula 3 race, and did just ask him very quickly, do you like it? Yes, I absolutely love it. It's pretty much the response that you get from every single driver in whichever discipline. They love this place. Globecam
doing a really good job of giving us an insight onto what it looks like on the inside of these cars. And look, you can see the gearbox on the digital display, the rev, what he's got to work with, when to change gear, and as you can see, third gear at the moment, and of course we'll see more graphic illustrations of how the gearbox works and when they change gear as the race goes on. But that's a fantastic shot on the number 11 there. And we'll be seeing more of that as the race goes on. But
helpful to us as well, because we know exactly what gear they're in.
And yeah, what they're up to if there's a problem.
So just threading their way through a busy grid. 10 rows in total for the FIA GT World Cup qualification race. And that is the 18th BMW art car. Now, it may look a little different to the normal BMW art cars.
Shame he couldn't get any sponsors.
In that you can't see any art. It is carbon fibre black.
Come on, get your app out.
All you have to do is download the BMW 18 art car app, and if you're lucky enough to be here at Macau, you point it to the rear of the car and you see all of a sudden lights appear around the car. An artwork by Chow Fai, a local artist who will be here this weekend at Macau to cheer on Augusto Farfus in number 18 art car. Download the app.
Yeah, and I've had a quick look at yours, and it looks like the Northern Lights because it actually lights up. The artwork is actually above the car.
Augmented reality is what it is, and the next generation of BMW art car.
I think I might have to invest in that for myself. I need some augmented reality for my lighting.
I'd quite like the BMW, to be honest.
Either one. And Augusto Farfus, he's... well, there's certainly a reality for him, and that is not augmented because he is a very fast peddler around this circuit. So watch out for Augusto Farfus, the fast Brazilian, as we take a look at...
Run by Schnitzer, of course.
Run by Schnitzer, the famous BMW team who have had such... Well, they're probably the most successful BMW team in the history of the event. And it reads like a who's who. Jochen Wilkenhock, Emmanuel Pirro, who's here this year working on the event. I've seen him once, actually. But Emanuele is here.
We've just looked at the Row Racing entered BMW. Tom Blomqvist. Row Racing have had a good deal of success around Europe this year, racing with the BMW M6. Tom Blomqvist, of course, who's been completing his 3rd year in DTM.
What about Pommer the Bomber today? He looked very good in qualifying.
On the outside of row 4. And then back to Laurent Vantour, winner of this race last year. Laurent Vantour this year in a Porsche. I noticed as I walked in this morning, he'll be signing model cars.
Yes, I know.
Outside
I took
today.
a picture myself.
Yeah, I was really surprised. So the drivers make their way out of the paddock and sign model cars.
Yeah, which is actually quite a nice little prize because if you want a sort of souvenir of Macau, and by the way, there's a lot of merchandising this year that's quite different than before. So I advise you to come into the entrance, and before you come into the track, have a look at that. There's Lucas de Grassi's car. And there is Lucas as he's out of the car having a bottle of water. We're just above him, actually. And Lucas definitely one of the favourites for this weekend. And like I said, he won here in Formula 3 back in the day. And here's a man who won more recently in Formula 3, Felix Rosenqvist, the young Swede. There he is. And the only Ferrari in the field today.
You want to do some interview later? Or?
No, I don't think that I can.
And just behind him, Stefan Johansson. Of course, if you're going to have a Swede in your corner, and of course, Stefan Johansson very much on the... in fact, he raced here, did Stefan? But very much on the Indy scene these days. But he's now become quite a sort of mentor to world-class drivers, including Felix Rosenqvist. Renger van der Zand doesn't need mentoring. But that Honda, the jury's out yet. Is it dialed in fully? There's my question.
I think we can continue to see moving up the order as the weekend goes on. It's fantastic that Honda have brought that car here to basically attract the lenses of the world this weekend. It's a beautiful, beautiful car. Marco Wittmann, double DTM champion, is next, 13th in qualifying, car number 91, a double DTM champion. Focused, as always he is, ahead of the start of a race.
Yeah, what I love about this is everybody's route from Mirko Bortolotti to Marco Wittmann's route to the World Cup. It's a bit like the World Cup soccer in terms of, you know, countries and teams come from all over. And it's the same for the World Cup of motor racing in GT form, is that you have DTM champions, you have single-seater champions, you have people like Lucas de Grassi who've succeeded brilliantly in both sports cars and in Formula E in single-seaters and continue to do so. So it's a real combination. Romain Dumas, don't need to tell you where he's been successful. Well, pretty much everywhere, but a winner of Le Mans and a world champion in his own right. So everybody's got a different route to Macau, but everybody wants to go to Macau and race at the World Cup. And that's what's become so special since they turned it into this World Cup, is that we've got the world's best drivers and the finest cars that they can do. And I was saying earlier in the weekend, that's literally tantamount to the whole history of Macau Grand Prix anyway, is that's how it's become over the years, more and more prestigious. Now, let's talk about this man.
Robin Prince, it's back in showroom condition, isn't it, as you would expect by Audi.
You wouldn't have thought there was half of that car missing yesterday, would you?
And a problem with the ABS on the car. He glanced the wall, had to come back to pit lane for a repair, but he promised us that this drive today would be entertaining.
He doesn't know me, and he shook my hand and he said, "Nice to meet you. Promise you there'll be some entertainment." I said, "Thank you, Robin, just what I needed."
He's won in everything he's done. He's been a champion. He's a reigning champion in the Blancpain Sprint Series in 2012. He was on the verge of a Formula One drive, and it didn't quite happen for him. But He's an incredibly quick driver, and a BMW at the rear of the grid as well.
Now, as if that wasn't drama enough, there's rain coming. We've got the world's best drivers. We've got the fastest sports cars in the world, the most expensive sports cars in the world, the hardest racetrack in the world, and the Mercedes at the front have had BOP added to them. 30 kilograms added to each of the Mercedes. So, in an effort to try and make it a little bit more equal, which I'm sure the Mercedes boys and the AMG boys will not be happy about, because the truth of the matter is, and I actually put this question to the top 3 Mercedes boys yesterday, which was, hey, you guys seem to have a handy car for this race. And they said, they kind of all smiled and went, yeah, but the Audi should be up there too. So if they have given a balanced performance deficit to Mercedes, Audi are going to be wryly smiling now because they've got a big advantage against these Mercedes. So, like I said, I think we'll see 3 in a row going into Lisboa, and they probably might just stay that way, so they can't let anybody by.
Fascinating ingredients for this qualification race for the FIA GT World Cup, the SJM Macau GT Cup as well. It's a BMW that leads at the moment. The course vehicles this weekend supplied by BMW.
You'd struggle to get another BMW. You'd struggle to get a car past those two.
These are big cars, aren't they? GT cars over the years have grown and grown, as indeed have road cars as well. And final couple of words with the team before they will be closed down. Exquisite cars these are, aren't they?
Yeah, I've got a feeling that another former winner, Juncadella, is in the mood, as they say, the Spaniard.
Won in Formula 3 here at Macau in 2011 to Daniel Juncadella. 4 years in DTM, in GT racing this year.
And Lucas de Grassi, I'm trying to remember what year he did win, and I think it was 2008, I want to say.
On the outside of row 5 is Lucas de Grassi, car number 11.
And ironically, the fact that they come back as world champions and as superstars, so many of them, and we just saw the qualification race for Formula 3, made their names here, Lucas de Grassi included, because you try growing up in Brazil and become a single-seater driver and try to stand out or stand out of the crowd. It's hard. You need to come to somewhere like Macau, win the race, and that's how you start to get noticed. And it's been that way for many years. And so many of these guys owe their careers, in some part, to their success, if they were successful at Macau.
A glorious sight it makes, this overhead shot that we have, this aerial shot, absolutely superb. Third row of the grid. Nico Muller, Augusto Farfus, Tom Blomqvist, Marcus Pommer, Laurent Vantour, Lucas de Grassi.
I'll give you a guesstimate. Come on.
Go on.
How many millions? How much is out there that could all end up in the Lisboa in a rather nasty mess in about 15 seconds?
To get the abacus out for that one.
Well, I mean, you're talking, aren't you? Million-plus cars here, and that's the beauty of it. And that's why it's so popular here in this part of the region. The Chinese love their cars, I can assure you, especially when they're supercars like this. But you won't get a finer field of machinery out there. And, yeah, you won't be buying spare parts for that too easily.
This is becoming such an attraction, isn't it, for the crowds and for the manufacturers as well. Here we go, last couple of words. Bye-bye. Door closed.
I got this.
And,
yeah, Eduardo, I got this, he says. That was his last words.
He's ready to go.
Bocca lupo, as they say in Italy.
Few drivers look so focused when driving around the Macau circuit, and his success here on the Gaia circuit speaks for itself. Eduardo Mortara on pole position in the Mercedes. First year that we've been able to say that. Eduardo Mortara in a Mercedes alongside Daniel Juncadella.
Yes, I wonder what Audi must be thinking, because now he's taking it to them, and he kind of smiled wryly yesterday because I said, oh, you've got the car to have, and again he said, well, I've been in the Audi, I know it's good.
Yeah,
I won with it. As though to say, it doesn't matter what car I'm in.
So many stories to chart as this race unfolds, and one of them is certainly going to be the gold Audi of Robin Frintz.
What a wonderful sound as we go on the warm-up lap. Let's talk about, if you're just tuning in around the world, we welcome you to the 64th running of the Macau Grand Prix. This is the GT World Cup, and I don't think we've ever assembled a stronger field, led by Eduardo Mortara, Mr. Macau, and former winner himself, Daniel Juncadella. 2 Formula 3 winners and 2 GT experts. Mauro Engel, also a winner here in 3rd place. Rafael Marciello, a single-seater expert and now a GT man too. Nico Muller in 5th place. Augusto Farfus, winner in touring cars here. He comes back with Schnitzer BMW in that M6. Tom Blomqvist, he raced in Formula 3 here. Marcus Pommer's raced here before. He's in 8th position in the Audi R8 LMS. Laurent Vantour from Belgium. Lucas de Grassi. It's a who's who of motor racing, folks. 9th and 10th, the Belgian and the Brazilian. Felix Rosenqvist, 2-time winner here, and 3rd on the podium last year in Formula 3. Renger van der Zaan from the Netherlands in 12th place. Marco Wittmann, as you mentioned, a 2-time multiple winner of DTM, 13th place. Mirko Bottolotti of Italy. Romain Dumas, Darrell O'Young, the local favourite, with sponsorship from VLT in 16th position, and also the first ever winner of a GT race here. Robin Frins makes his debut, but make no mistake, it'll be one heck of a debut from 17th. Fabian Plentz just behind him. Chaz Mostert in 19th position, and at the back of the grid, it's Hiroki Yoshimoto of Japan in the Porsche 911. What a field, what a day. My first question to you as we go on this warm-up lap is how far can Robin Hood and his merry car make it up the grid?
Steal places, yeah. Well, we shall find out. We've had so far today a qualification race for Formula 3 for the Macau Grand Prix. It ran without interruption. We had 10 laps in prospect, 12 laps in prospect for this qualification race for the SJM Macau GT Cup and FIA GT World Cup. Formula 3 boys were able to do it without requiring intervention or a red flag. Laurent Vantour at the wheel of the Porsche. Top Porsche in 9th place, car number 911. And as they sped their way around the circuit to get as much heat into the tyres and brakes as they possibly can, then we'll see just what the circuit is like with these few little spots of rain that we've had leading up to the start of this race.
Yeah.
It could be particularly treacherous.
It could be very treacherous if it rains at all, especially with these boys, because there's just no margin. And the reason why Macau becomes... People ask me, why do you get so excited about Macau? And I was like, well, just look at these walls, guys. Look at the size of these cars. There's just no margin. And if you start sliding on any wet weather, on any oil that's laid down, you can see this is the tightest, the Melco Hairpin is the tightest corner in the world of motor racing. So, yeah, I think that's what makes it exciting.
It really does. Here we go. We're about to find out what will happen first of all at the start. The first start of 2 that we have this weekend for the GT cars. This, the qualification race tomorrow. Of course, we look forward to the big race, the main race, the FIA GT World Cup here at Macau. And we look back from the pole sitter from Eduardo Mortara, Daniel Juncadella, also in a Mercedes. Mercedes. The top 2 rows are lockout by Mercedes-Benz. Audi and BMW complete row 3.
Yeah, you make an interesting point, because this is a double-edged sword as a race, because you do not want to make a mistake in this qualification race for this rolling start, and here we come. Merc on Merc as we head down for a rather murky start in terms of the weather too. Here we come. It's been a good, clean formation lap, and we're racing at Macau. What a beautiful sound and what a beautiful sight here at Macau. Mauro Engel dives into 3rd place and a tap to the wall for sure from one of the Mercedes. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, that wasn't Eduardo Mortara. Look at the Mauro Engel now. Look at that. I said there'd be 3 wide, and they are. And here comes the number 18 BMW in 3rd place.
It was a super start by Augusto Farfus. Absolutely rocketed off the line. Looked to find a space. He found a space as well. Up into 4th place. And really challenging for 3rd. He's got 3rd already.
And Mauro Engel takes the lead as they go through Lisboa for the first time. Is anybody going to get caught out by the famous corner that is? Ooh, Rosenqvist just misses the Lisboa corner there, but they're all safely through.
Super stuff by the Brazilian in the 18th BMW Art car. Mauro Engel leads up into sector 2. Now this very, very tight. They're so wide, these cars, and the walls and the barriers get so close. They never look quite as close as when you've got GT cars racing. And in a single line, they all go through. So a few little skirmishes, but pretty much everyone seems to have got away with this. Eduardo Mortara there in second place, Augusto Farfus in third, and Mauro Engel from the inside of the second row of the grid getting the best of the starts.
And it was Daniel Juncadella who definitely came together with the wall in the number 50 Mercedes. If we go back and have a look at the replay, if they do show us that, as we go on board now, he definitely touched the outside wall of Reservoir Bend. Doesn't look as though there's major damage to the car, but we'll keep you informed as to whether... Oh, no! Oh, mayhem! And there's millions and millions and millions of dollars of damage here at the mighty Macau. And that is one of the worst GT accidents I've ever seen here. And in the place, the city that is a gamble, the lottery has absolutely come to an end. Right at the front of here is the 911, and you can see his frustration. Cars everywhere. Lucas de Grassi not even on the ground.
Not on the tarmac.
And not able to get out. Did anybody make it through?
No hesitation in bringing out the red flag.
Yes, they did, look.
Course completely blocked. My goodness. My goodness.
What were you saying as we walked across the bridge?
Everything had been relatively clean so far today.
Mm-hmm.
I should not have
rest
said
my
it.
valise.
Goodness me. 4 cars come through.
Wow.
Into pit lane.
Now, we don't know... well, let's have a look at what happened, first of all.
We haven't seen what happened.
Augusto Farfus in third place goes through, and it's a police that they come together, and it's Juncadella who may well have been the cause, because Juncadella now backwards, and I think he had a damaged car anyway, but Juncadella is the car that's turned round. The Porsche of, is it? I'm trying to see who it was. I think it was Laurent Vantour.
It is Laurent Vantour's car. Yeah.
There he is at the front. Yeah, Laurent Vantour came through, and all the drivers are out and having a word. But obviously, nobody happy. Lucas de Grassi in the middle of your picture there.
4 cars have got through. Only 4 cars.
Well, yes, but I'm looking back at the 99 still of the Tom Blomqvist. He's involved. So is the number 5. It just depends. The shot is not as clear, but I can tell you a concertina effect, given that you're coming down Moorish Hill into this right-hander, could mean that literally the whole field has been affected in some way or another. And I can also assure you that we've got a long wait for the resumption of this one, folks. But if you've just tuned in and you've never seen the Macau Grand Prix, this is not bad driving. These are the very best drivers in the world. I can see that Felix Rosenqvist is out of the car and okay. My first thought is that everybody's okay. Laurent Vantour taking a tour around his car. There's one of the Audi drivers, and yeah, this is a real mess. But what I was going to say, and here comes the cranes, so it won't take them too long to start to extricate them, but it just depends how further back
how far
down
back
the
this
field
goes. Yeah, I don't think we're going to be able to get a camera angle that will show us the tail of the field, so therefore we can start picking out and working out how many cars are okay. So certainly we've got Nico Muller's car there, hard up to the barrier on the left-hand side of your screen. Nico Muller's Audi pressed up.
It's a scene I've seen in Formula 3 many times, but never in GTs, not to this extent.
No, we did say this, the very, very tight section of the circuit, and GT cars get wider and wider, don't they, with every incarnation of a GT car. So the road completely blocked. So I almost can't bear to watch this.
I know, it's painful, isn't it?
I'm sure the teams and the manufacturers can't bear to.
And there's the first Audi out of the way.
That's the Honda. That's
Excuse
the
me,
NSX.
that's the NSX Honda.
Yeah.
Now Marciello is in the pits.
And you know what? The other thing that's happening at the moment is it's getting darker and darker, as if rain clouds are looming in. They reckoned on the weather forecast, if we got a shower, a proper shower, it will be about 1 o'clock this afternoon. It's 25 to 1, everybody. Local time.
So Rafael Marciello talks to the AMG team. His first outing with this Mercedes crew at Macau in a GT car. And so far he's equipped himself pretty well. But now the tactics are going to go on, because amazingly, besides Juncadella, here's another look, So Farfus goes through and through a third. There's Juncadella, basically, I think, the cause of the accident, unless Laurent Vantour was trying to go through on the inside.
Yeah,
which is a no-no.
And it's only a
There's
guess.
just no room.
It's only a guess.
Look at this.
As to what happened leading up to that. 1, 2,
now, here's
3,
another thing
4, 5, 6
million or just cars?
6 cars at very least. We're trying to recover Laurent Vantour's Porsche, which is very battered.
Here's something they instituted last year into this race, is these dollies. They work really well.
They do.
They literally just pick the front of the car up, put them on the dolly, and then pull them away.
Laurent Vantour, of course, who won this race last year, albeit with a different manufacturer. Oh, here we go, on board.
Ooh, scary. And that, of course, is the number 11 of Lucas de Grassi, who's the one who ended up off the ground. Look, there he is. Number 11. Now, 4 cars, that's all. There's Maro Engel, made it through. Most of the Mercedes. The other, Augusto Farfus. Could be a 4-way race. 3 Mercedes against a BMW.
Yeah, what a peculiar situation. I think you're right. I think there are going to be plenty more cars that are unscathed.
I mean, looking down to, I would argue that if the other guys were smart enough to get off the brakes or get on the brakes early enough, Rosenquist was definitely involved in the incident because he was out of the car pretty quick. That's 11th place. But we could see the likes of Marco Wittmann, Bertolotti, Dumas, Young, Robin Frins. I say that tentatively. Potentially okay.
This could be absolutely brilliant for Robin.
Yes, it could.
He needs a recovery. It was a tall mountain to climb from the penultimate row of the grid. But with, obviously he wouldn't want it this way, but with a number of cars not able to take any kind of restart, then a number of places can be made up very, very swiftly.
Good news, if there is that, if there is any good news from this, as they take Jucadella's car out of the way. So let's have a look at. Well, I'd like to see how Laurent Vantour approached this corner now. If we go on board with Laurent Vantour down the hill, the next is the right-hander, and you can see Mercedes of Jucadella is in front of him. Okay, he was unsighted, to be fair. I'm not putting any blame on him. Juncadella had already hit police bend by the time that Laurent Vantour came across him. And so no blame apportioned, I'm afraid, if I'm going to put any blame in right now, and I don't want to.
Let's not.
Let's not. Let's talk about the recovery some more, shall we?
Yeah, we shall.
But I'm not going to blame the 911. I'll say that, shall I?
And absolutely, and very good to have the onboard shot. So we found out what happened leading up to what can only be described as a very upsetting scene, because now forklifts, cranes, flatbed recovery vehicles, it's all hands to the pump now to get the road clear.
Imagine if you were a race fan and you'd never been to Macau and you were sort of saying, well, what's all the fuss about? Why do people get so excited about it? And then you witness that, you're like, oh, I get it now.
It is interesting. And following such a clean and untroubled race for the Formula 3 cars, this was...
mayhem.
Yeah, unpredictable, really. I did wonder if we might be...
So here we go. Here's a look down the pit lane at those not involved. One is Maro Engel. That's the safety car, in fact, the driver of the FIA safety car for the WTCC. So he's actually not the driver of the car we're looking at, but that car we are looking at right here is Maro Engel's car. And he's okay, and you can see not a drop of problems for him.
And got a very good start.
And interestingly, people putting hoods on and umbrellas up. We have rain, folks.
It's really dark, really, really dark. And
the wind's just got up, so I've got a feeling it is raining.
What could possibly go wrong?
Yes. As you can see, the number 48 car is fire and clean as a whistle. Eduardo Mortara is okay. And Augusto Farfus is A-OK. This is the next car you will see. Number 18, the Schnitzer BMW. And Charlie Lamb and the boys. So Farfus in and with a great chance of perhaps making it. He made a really good start, did Augusto. And yeah, you can see a few drops on the camera now.
There's Charlie Lamb chatting away down.
There's Callum Ilott. Maybe he fancies his chances. He's asking him what the fuss is all about. And there is one Group M car.
Do you think he's coming through to gloat?
Yeah, probably, yes.
We didn't have a red flag.
Yeah, it's your problem. We saw Raphael already out of the car, but that's his car. So we literally have 4 unscathed cars in the pit lane. I've never seen anything like this in all my years. We're looking at Chaz Mostert's car being dragged back.
The fourth of the BMWs, and I've just seen spots of rain on the camera lens as well.
Let's have a look at some of the sort of highlights of that crash. And you can see Juncadella gets turned around, Vantoor's in it, several Audis, Lucas de Grassi's put into the sky because of it. The number 99, Tom Blomqvist, is stuck underneath. Here we go on board behind the 27, and a nasty, nasty picture for Lucas de Grassi. That was really not a pleasant sight. Luckily, not one of the fastest corners. There's Juncadella already in the wall. And I think he was pretty close to Maro Engel. That might have been the problem. It looks as though the VLT Porsche of Daryl O'Young also being dragged away. So Daryl O'Young, interestingly enough, was in 16th place going into that.
We may get another look at the start as well to just see how badly the car was damaged for Daniel Juncadella off the line.
A former Asia champion, Tim Sugden from Yorkshire, talking to Callum Eilert. Everybody having a bit of a laugh because, of course, he drove for Group M, probably still does, Group M in Asia. And good to see Tim here, but Callum Eilert, one of the interested bystanders here, watching what is going on in the GTs. Oh, a little bit of damage, only a slight bit of damage. It's a flesh wound compared to what's happened to everybody else.
A mere graze.
A mere graze. Yes, I don't think Mercedes on a day like this can be too upset by that scratch.
Not really, no.
That's the least of their worries.
Umbrellas going up for rain now.
Yes, they certainly aren't going up for sunshine.
Normally up for sunshine here at Macau. But a very, very enthusiastic crowd.
Well, we're getting some interesting tweets.
I'm sure.
The hashtag is Macau GP and magical mayhem of Macau for sure. So tweet us in, if you will, and give us your version and give us your thoughts on that crash. And also join the conversation if you've got questions about the cars, if you've got questions about the event, if you want to know what's happening and how to get hold of it. Yep, everybody's on TV and waving, and I can assure you we are used to umbrellas here in this part of the region for the sunshine, but today it's definitely for drops of rain.
Multifunction parasols available for the grandstands here, and as you can see, not an empty seat in the grandstands. They've got World Touring cars to look forward to as the day unfolds, and also the Motorcycle Grand Prix as well.
Yes, and if I were Michael Rutter or Peter Hickman right now, I'd be kind of a little nervous when I see these raincoats on, because that is not a sight that any motorcycle race wants to see, because Macau is treacherous enough as it is, and I can assure you that Paul Butler and his crack team of marshals and engineers and all the rest of it will certainly make sure it's perfectly dry. As Maro Engel, who was looking pretty good, he's probably most disappointed because he had literally the picture-perfect start.
It really was, yeah, very, very impressive. He's always impressive around the streets of Macau, is he not? And just this wait down in pit lane, which you know is going to go on for a reasonable period of time. As they watch, you can see them looking up. They're actually watching the big screen, which is down here, so they can not only see themselves, but also see how the recovery is taking place.
Well, there's a couple of things we can talk about here. One is 50 years of AMG, and we could perhaps explain, if you don't know, what AMG is, and also the Driver Academy. I was asking about what the Driver Academy is, and it makes, I'll start with the Academy, and you can do the AMG bit if you like. But the Academy, the AMG Academy, is basically something that they've set up pretty much around the world to effectively teach drivers, getting more experienced drivers to teach less experienced drivers how to drive their Mercedes to the greatest extent. And so they're sort of celebrating that by putting it on the side of the car. And AMG, of course, is the the company that has prepared the race cars for Mercedes. Of course, we all know Mercedes, the road car, and their road-going versions. And just as Schnitzer has maintained a name, there's Charlie Lamb as being the preparers of and team runners of top BMW cars.
There's Augusto.
AMG have done the same.
Augusto Farfus. I wonder if I point my augmented reality app at Augusto Farfus's race overalls, if I'll get lights appear around it, because that's exactly what happens with the cars themselves. There may well be opportunity to pop down to pit lane and have a chat to a few of these drivers. And the crowds here at Macau, well, they know that inevitably they have to wait for a few things, and this will be worth waiting for.
Tell you what, Alan, why not stretch your legs, son?
I will.
Why not get out there amongst it?
Can I have a parasol?
That you see, now I'm looking at...
there is one as well.
We found an umbrella. Here's an umbrella.
Oh, good work.
Yeah? And you might actually go and approach Charlie Lamb, well, actually not Charlie, but I would suggest you go down to the Mercs, have a quick chat with Maro, see if you can get yourself a drive. We'll make ourselves comfortable here. There's probably a few cars that you could jump in.
My challenge is going to be the closest that I get to the BMW Arts car, so I'm going to use my app. I'm going to see the lights.
Pay attention, 007.
Yeah, there we go. Off I go.
Right, well, we're going to get our cameraman to go and look for you now. Here's your brolly. You don't need a, you sure you don't need a brolly? Last words, famous last words then. So then, as Alan Hyde has gone to run and hide, we're going to continue our coverage here. And if you've just joined us, if you're on the live stream around the world, we welcome you to the Macau Grand Prix. And I have to say, this is normal fare, or it can be anyway, because when a crash happens at Macau, it is always devastating, both to the machinery and certainly the timing of the event. So we've had a huge smash at the start of the World Cup for GTs, and I've just sent my co-commentator Alan Hyde to get the latest news and first and foremost find out what we think and who we think will get a restart. It's going to be some time, but I will also say this, that when it comes to Macau, it's pretty amazing how quickly they can clear the debris off and get things going again. But that was a major spill. We look again at the artwork car of number 18 Augusto Farfus, and if any of you have watched touring cars here over the years, especially World Touring cars, Augusto Farfus, teammate with Andy Prio and many others, has raced here a bunch of times for BMW and knows it probably better than anybody else actually, and his record's second to none here. We were talking about Augusto yesterday and how I'd forgotten anyway that back in 2003 he was the F3000 Euro Series champion. So there you go, Augusto Farfus, before he was a touring car superstar, between effectively most of 2000 to 2010, 2011, before he turned to DTM, and that's where he's been. But in that time he's also managed to get a win at the Nürburgring 24 hours, second at the Daytona 24 hours. And yeah, Augusto definitely a handy man to have if you're going to take on the famous Macau Grand Prix. Didn't win the world titles of the likes of Andy Prio, Ivan Muller, Rob Huff and a few others, but he's certainly had a very impressive career. And we wait with the FIA, and this of course is an FIA World Cup, and you can see the drops of rain just above, as we stand just above Maro Engel's car, but you can see the drops of rain there, and so that's just adding to the flavor, as it were, here. But this, like I said, is just all part of the history of Macau. We've had many a big crash and many a big year here at Macau. I remember a massive pile-up in Formula 3. In fact, we had a big crash last year, but I remember half the field decimated at the beginning of San Francisco Hill, and I think 4 cars came around that day, and then we had an almighty repair session effectively on the grid. There's Farfus just in the background there. He's out the car and just chatting away as every Brazilian might. Very laid-back character. Meanwhile, the rather serious-looking Maro. He's not as serious as he looks, but he is when he's in his office, i.e. at work. And he's had a fantastic career here at Macau, as well as everywhere around the world, of course, but certainly one of the superstars of GT racing. And I think he probably took a look at this field when it came out and probably looked down it and went, this is going to be a tough race. He also raced in Formula 3 here, did Maro. His best finish, I don't think, in fact, I don't know if he actually got a result when he actually raced Formula 3 here, but in 2006 he was in the British Formula 3 series. He got a top 5 there. There's Eduardo Mortara. There's a lot of drivers who I look to here who started their careers in single-seaters and could have easily gone on to Formula 1. Maro Engel's one. Eduardo Mortara is absolutely another. And there's one of the cars. That's Chas Mostert. And his car looks absolutely fine. And he was at the back, of course. He qualified in 20th position. And he was just talking to Hiroki Yoshimoto. And I think, as I said to Alan earlier, I've got a real feeling that yes, now you're starting to see them, that the cars that are parked, as you see here, are unscathed. They managed to avoid the situation. And certainly the number 90 that you're looking at and the number 77 managed to avoid that incident. Well, it was certainly an interesting start, and there was actually some consternation, or at least some controversy in my mind from the very start. Now here it is, the rolling start. Now watch the green and grey Mercedes to the left-hand side of the screen as we go through the next corner. He just tapped the wall, see that? And that, I think, was the first of his problems. I know there was a lot of dust on the exit of that, but I think he just scraped the wall there. Then it was a three-way battle down towards Maro Engel won. And Maro takes the lead. Farfus went to the outside, then to the inside at Lisboa. Everybody cleanly through, but by then, look, Maro Engel had already got 2 lengths ahead of everybody else. Farfus defending from third. Everybody cleanly through, except Rosenquist. You will watch this in the all-red Ferrari 488, just missing. Prinz going right behind him. And the VLT Porsche of Darrell O'Young squeezing on the inside here. Maro Engel up the hill towards Hospital and into Maternity Bend, and was already starting to build. He's probably going to be the most disappointed of all the drivers out there, because as you can see, as he headed towards the Solitude S's, he'd already built up a 2-length car lead and was starting to look rather comfortable, which in this sprint race, which it is, he had the perfect start in many ways. And I'm just wondering if the damage to the right-hand side, because it's mostly left-handers here, and first major right-hander is that police corner. And I've just got a feeling that Jugadella may have been caught out as the turn-in to police happened. And there you see, boom. And mayhem at Macau. That is what happened. If you've just joined us, that was the start of the GT race for the 2017 FIA World Cup. And there's Alan Hyde.
Down here with Maro Engel down in pit lane. We've just been re-watching the start on the big screen. Feels like deja vu. We did this last year as well.
Yeah, starts here in Macau are always crazy, and I got a really good start and got a great slipstream off my 2 teammates ahead of me, and was able to go 3 wide and slipstream past. Seems like another car has arrived.
Another car arrives in pit lane, and it gets a huge cheer from the grandstand. It's a remarkable atmosphere here at Macau, isn't it? Now, Daniel Juncadella, he had a bit of a moment just off the line, really, essentially. The car was brushed with the wall, and then another moment as well. How much of that were you able to see? Because you got a brilliant start.
Yeah, I saw it. I wasn't sure if he touched the wall on the exit of turn 1 or if it was just the dust, but I saw the dust kicking up, and I think that's what slowed him a little bit, and Edo. And it gave me my opportunity to move past. But yeah, back to the crowd. I mean, this is incredible. You know, you've got to love the crowd here, how supportive they are, and it's a shame to see what happened after that. So many cars involved. It's not what you want to see.
We don't yet know how many cars behind are okay to come back and join you in the pit lane, but such a rare opportunity when you see just 4 cars come back.
Yeah, I mean, when I looked in my mirror and I heard what happened, it was, no, it's not a good feeling. Hopefully a lot of cars can come back and we can go back to racing and have a proper race.
Mauro, I hope you get another good start. That was a cracker, wasn't it?
Cheers, thank you.
Top man, Mauro Engel down here in pit lane, and we'll carry on walking back and just walking past Eduardo Mortara's car, and let's see who we bump into as we walk down the pit lane. There are just here to my left is Augusto Farfus's number 18 BMW art car. Augusto Farfus is down here with me. Augusto, good to have you back here at Macau, but in strange circumstances. That was a weird one.
Well, that's it's the crazy side of Macau. Sometimes accidents happen. The wall is just around the corner. I'm glad I had an extremely good start. I jumped from P6 to P3 and got away in the tow, but many cars got stuck there. So let's see what the race will decide. And looking forward, I mean, this is the biggest challenge of the whole year.
Let me talk about your start. It was absolutely fantastic, wasn't it?
Yes, the start was extremely good. We managed to get a good reaction to the grain and jump the car. So now let's see what the race director will decide. Top
man, Augusto, thank you very much indeed. Augusto is going. Let me carry on walking down here and see who else we're going to bump into down here. Rafael Marciello is by the car. Can we have a quick chat? Well, you were one of the ones that was unscathed. Yeah, I know, tennis elbow, nothing to worry about. You've got a little graze on the car, that's nothing to worry about either.
Yeah, it was a bit here, a bit here.
Oh yeah, just a little bit, but the car's okay, isn't it?
Yeah, it was a close call, like, I saw him touching the inside wall, so like I said, probably we crash, so I slowed down a bit, and like, I had only this space to pass, and yeah, luckily I passed, and yeah, it's like, lucky, good, I don't know, but yeah, I'm happy to be alive.
I was interested to read your comments yesterday about how much you love this circuit. It is once in a lifetime, isn't it?
Yeah, I think like here, Bathurst, Nordschleife, all these kind of track are like really special and like quite scary also to drive, but I think it's where like a driver can make a difference and where like every driver at least once should like race.
And obviously you know the car so well, you know the circuit so well in a Formula 3 car. How different is it in one of these GT3 cars?
Yeah, it's quite different because like Mandarin is not flat like Formula 3. I think like it's a bit more fun with GT because it's like difficult. Like you feel the car moving, the road is much narrow. It's like with both cars is really nice to drive.
Rafael, thanks so much for having a chat to me. We're about to have a look up at the big screen down here in pit lane, and are we going to, Rafael is still with me, are we going to be able to see the replay up here on the screen, and he could take us through it. We're going to have a look at the replay up here on the big screen, Rafael. Just talk us through it.
Yeah, I was already gone, so I don't know. I mean, I saw Iron Board before, I think of Van Dorn. You can see I was slowed down a bit and I was really lucky to pass, so yeah.
It's great having this big screen down here in pit lane. We can relive, the crowd are reliving it as well. Good luck with the restart.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Rafael Marciello. We're going to carry on walking down what is a very, very busy pit lane, and Robin Fritz's car is being worked on. His is the next car down here in pit lane. Look at this. Let's have a good look down here. They're working away on the left front of the car. And are we going to be able to find Robin? Where is he? Let me have a look around. There he is. Come with me, and we can just get through the crowd. Can dive in and have a chat to Robin Fritz, who's busy chatting away. Right, Robin, first of all, welcome to Macau. Hang on, we've got a cameraman here. Just behind you, pantomime down here in the pit lane. Robin Fritz, welcome to Macau. First time out on track, absolutely fantastic. Second time out on track, a bit of a problem. Tell us about the problem.
You mean in qualify? Yeah, everything went well in qualify, the first lap, and then the second lap, the first official push lap. I braked in the second to last corner, and the two front wheels locked up, and I was just a passenger heading to the wall. So it was a big shame, as I think the okay, a front row maybe, but at least top 3, top 5 was possible.
Did you expect to go as well as you did, fresh out of the box as a rookie coming to Macau?
No, it was a new experience for me. I came in fresh, so no thoughts, and I had no pressure on my shoulders saying for me I have to win. I'm just enjoying myself, and as long as I'm enjoying myself, I'm quick.
What had people said to you about Macau before you came here? Everyone's full of advice, aren't they?
Yeah, everybody is having their own words, and it is dangerous, but the more dangerous it is, the more fun it is for me, so I'm enjoying it here, and so far, only the wall and qualify, but so far else, everything goes fine.
Right, now, your car is being worked on. What damage did it get with what was just an incredible bus stop, wasn't it?
Yeah, I saw, because I was fairly well in the, behind the back, so I saw suddenly a Lambo flying in the air, and the Porsche tried to avoid it, but still he hit another car. And I had a choice to make, or hit the Porsche or hit the tire barrier, and well, the tire barrier is softer than the Porsche, so I choose the tire barrier, and the car seems all right so far, so I'm
working on the car now, aren't they? We're pretty confident that you could be out because you could make up an awful lot of places here.
Oh yeah, we go out. The suspension is fine, just some body work, and just to make sure that the body work is not hitting to the tire while turning and stuff like that, but car is fine.
Robin, we wish you the very best of luck. Thanks so much for having a chat to us down here, and we'll just get a final look of the team working on the left front of Robin's car. Absolutely fantastically presented car, but they've had to be very, very busy around it this weekend after that problem with the brakes yesterday. We can carry on walking down the line and see work which is continuing to being done on the cars down here in pit lane. Just let me squeeze through here because Porsche work being done on Daryl O'Young's car, the number 991. Work being done on the front of the car. Daryl O'Young already seated inside the car, and I can tell you that we have spits of rain, but nothing to worry about. Enough to make it greasy, slippery, challenging, but you know what? The Macau circuit, the Gaia circuit here at Macau is pretty challenging when it's dry. So just a few little spots of rain. Daryl O'Young inside the car and being chatted to by the team. I'll carry on walking down the order, and I might be able to have a chat to double DTM champion Marco Wittmann, who's down here. Marco, this is a bit different to DTM, isn't it?
Yeah, it was quite a massive crash, I have to say. Yeah, it's a bit of a shame, to be honest. I mean, my start and first lap was pretty good, gained already 4 places. And yeah, then we came suddenly to corner, 7 or 8, and in a very tight corner, and there was no flag, no yellow flag. And I think Danny couldn't make the corner. One crashed into him, the next one, and then was just one after one. And I was actually in the middle of the pack, so yeah, very disappointing to have the race finish like that. Cars are pretty hard damaged. The impact for all of us was pretty hard. Luckily, we are all right. That's
your car in particular?
Yeah, I'm okay. I think that's the most important thing, that we are all okay. But of course, I mean, losing, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 or 8 cars in a GT World Cup is frustrating for all of us.
Such a shame.
Yeah.
Such a shame. It's a huge draw for manufacturers, isn't it, here in Macau? It's an incredible depth of machinery and the level of talent of drivers as well.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, we are all professional and we are all pushing, but I mean, Macau is super tight, and if one is doing a mistake, and especially in the first lap where the field is just so close together, it's nearly impossible to avoid, you know. If it happens in lap 10 and the field is spread, then you get also the yellow flags and you can slow down. But now we had no indication. We were all bumper on bumper, and yeah, that's why we all crashed into each other.
Marco, thank you very much indeed for having a chat to us. Marco Wittmann, double DTM champion down here in pit lane, and hopefully his BMW is relatively unscathed. Now, we're just walking past the number 90 car of Chad Mostet, and then we get to another Porsche, and it is the number 77 Porsche that we have down here at the back. So that's about all the cars that we have. That's Hoshimoto's car, which has appeared down here, and that's the final car that we have down here in pit lane. The good news, and I'll give you a little weather forecast, is that although it's dark, it's humid, the rain has stopped. So I can bring just one piece of good news from pit lane.
I think you brought a lot of good news from pit lane there, Alan. Thank you very much. Brilliant stuff. Alan Hyde, your pit reporter and my co-commentator, getting out there amongst it and getting in the thick of it and getting some great stories, actually. And I think the overabiding story is that those who are left, effectively, and there are few, are sort of a bit disappointed because basically they want to see a World Cup battle that involves everybody, not just those that didn't make it through that one corner. And that was the first lap, of course. Here's another look in slow-mo. And you can see that there was just no way. Marciello got through, but there's no way that Laurent Vantour, even with the skills that he's got, could have made it through there. I said that Mercedes were a pretty wide car, and let's head back down and find out what's going on the pit lane again.
I'm pleased to see you down here in pit lane. The car isn't very well. Are you okay?
Yeah, just hurt some special area, but
yeah, I'm sure. Right, take us through the accident from your point of view. You had nowhere to go, I guess.
No, I was behind. I think it was Marcello, and we were coming up the corner, and it's the tightest part of the track. And I was in his bumper, and all of a sudden I see him braking more, going on the side. And the next thing I saw was the car sitting still, and there was no place for me to go. And yeah. Afterwards, it was a chain reaction. So.
I'm not an engineer, but I looked at the car and it looked pretty poorly.
I don't think we will be driving tomorrow, and I don't. My opinion, there's at least 5-6 cars, or not more, we're not driving tomorrow because a lot of cars look really bad. It's a shame. But.
Lauren, have you watched back what happened? Have you seen it on the big screen? I think we could show it back.
I haven't seen it yet.
Okay, we're about to show it. Hang on, let me take you to where the screen is. Oh, we've got a screen here. We've got a small screen over here, so we can just stand by. This is great. We're directing the cameraman here, so let's have a look. Let's roll the VT. Take us through it, Lauren.
Yeah, at this point I just saw Marcello braking more, and I couldn't see him. At this point, I saw the car standing still, and there was no. I tried to brake, but it was just understeering and went straight. I couldn't do anything, and then I just got hit from beside, bam, 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 even more. And you know, it's Macau. There's nothing you can do. It's such a there's room for one car over there, and you're blind.
Every incarnation of GT cars, they get bigger and bigger, but the Macau circuit gets no bigger, does it?
No, it's a shame. I absolutely love coming here. It's my favorite place on the whole world to come and race. But it's been a pity that the last two events were last year was my fault. This year it's again a drama like this. It's a bit of a shame for the race, but yeah, it's Macau. You're or a hero or you're on the wall, and that line is very, very thin, and it happens so much. You have to be lucky, and then something's gonna happen.
Final question to you. You must have been looking at the weather as well. We all were. There is a weather forecast that maybe was for rain. What were your thoughts about rain on the Gaia circuit?
I would have loved to seen it because I don't think we were in a position to win in a dry unless something's happened. And the Porsche is good in the rain. I love racing in the rain, and this track is already a challenge. Challenging this in the rain will be the biggest challenge you can find, I think, and I'm always open for those challenges. So I would have loved to do it, but it was drizzling a bit, and I was hoping for it, but it doesn't look like it's coming true.
Lauren, I'm sorry that we talk in these circumstances down in pit lane. Laurent Vantour down here in pit lane. We shall continue to seek out drivers down in pit lane.
Good work, Alan. Thank you so much. You're listening to Alan Hyde down in the pits and amongst the debris that is left of our FIA GT World Cup 2017. We've had a huge smash at Police Bend, and unfortunately a lot of the field will probably not be able to make it out, and more importantly, many of the favourites for this race. That said, this is Macau. It's a street circuit. What would you expect when you hurtle these amazing machinery at the walls of this famous circuit? It's been the way for many years, and it will be the way for many years to come. It's part of the excitement. We think, though, we should be getting a restart in about 10 minutes, and I can see that Mauro Engel is starting to prepare himself. And Eduardo Mortara, obviously, Juncadella will be out. Mauro Engel will be in. Rafael Marcello will be in. Not sure about Nico Muller, but Augusto Farfus definitely will be in. And, well, it's going to be an interesting restart for this one. Let's head back to Alan Hyde, see who he's got now.
Eduardo Mortara is here having a chat to his engineers, having a chat to his team. Can I push through, Edo, and have a quick chat to you? Well, my goodness, you've seen just about everything here at Macau. Have you ever seen anything quite like that?
No, it's the first time.
It is the first time. Tell us about your start, first of all.
Well, basically started at the green light, and then I guess that my teammate wanted to anticipate it a little bit. And in order not to crush it, I mean, he passed me at the line, and then obviously that was a jump start, and then went into the first corner side by side. Didn't want to crush with him, so I had to back off, and then I had some other teammates like trying to overtake me like from 1 to 2, and we were 3 side by side, and I back off in order not to crash. So yeah, it was a pretty intense first lap, but to be honest with you, I mean, last year it wasn't really that much different, but I had a big crash, and now I'm just going for it for the remaining laps of the race.
I've just been given word that you need to go and get ready because we're about to get a restart. Good luck, Eduardo.
Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed, Eduardo Mortara down here in pit lane. Yep, the team bashed me from behind and said that's enough time with Edo. We need to get him ready for the restart. So we've got a clear track now, and that's about it from pit lane.
Perfect stuff, Alan, and we'll get you back up here as soon as we can as we look again at the start of the original start. And as you can see, the two Mercedes, Mortara just describing he didn't get the best of starts. And Juncadella on the right-hand side just scraping the wall slightly. Then it was a three-way tussle by Mercedes for the first man into Mandarin, so to speak. And that man was on the right-hand side, sparks flying up, Maro Engel. Augusto Farfus in the all-black number 18 was pretty quick too, came around the outside in third position. Felix Rosenqvist in the all-red 488 Ferrari was in the mix down through the field, but it was Maro Engel leading the field into the Lisboa. And you heard in his interview there with Alan, and pretty disappointed. A little bit of coming together, one of the BMW M6s just tussling for position through Lisboa, but everybody safely through, and that was the start. But then things went from bad to worse as they went through the mountain section, as we call it here at Macau. Maro Engel was building on his lead with a Mercedes 1, 2, and BMW in third position. Then there were two more Mercedes, one of Rafael Marciello and the other of Juncadella. Now, Juncadella there in third place, just behind Farfus, was trying to put some pressure on Augusto Farfus. There was Rosenqvist, there's Robin Frins, he made up a place or two. At the back, Yoshimoto and Daryl O'Young. But as they made it down through the Solitude S's and finally down Palio Hill and towards Police, everything seemed to be going swimmingly until this moment. And it was this moment that, sadly, Juncadella hits the wall first, and everybody else just couldn't avoid him. A massive pile-up, one of the biggest I've ever seen, certainly in GT terms, at the Macau Grand Prix, and that is how we stand, folks. But as you look at the gambling capital of the world, I've heard that this place takes more than Vegas in 1 week than anywhere else. So Macau certainly has become one of the great gambling capitals of the world, and the circuit that purveys its racing is also just that, a lottery. And you never know, you can never predict what will happen at Macau. But as Maro Engel straps himself in, the German, with his Group M Racing resplendently painted Mercedes, gets ready again for the restart. A rolling restart, possible damp conditions, certainly in certain places of the track. We don't know just how wet. Didn't get the feeling that we were getting too much. We'll get an update from Alan when he gets in here. I'll check his shirt, see how wet he is, and see how much drizzle has got on him. Eduardo Mortara was cool as a cucumber, wasn't he? Amazingly long front car, isn't it? It looks as though it would be a handful to drive, but those that have driven that car tell me that it actually is a very sweet handling car. It just looks like it would be a real beast to drive. I remember when they first arrived with the all-green beasts, as I called them. Same with the BMW, to be honest. It looks like a very long front car, but it too handles very well. And of course, when you're talking about the likes of the engineering of BMW and Mercedes, they're not going to leave that one to miss by any means. So it looks as though we are going to have a cracking German battle between BMW, Mercedes, and Audi. And I think Robin Frins will be able to join the fray. He was a long way back. He managed to make up a couple of places. He got down to 17th place, but as you can see, his car unscathed. And the Dutchman, representing the German mark, could well be a factor. And will he be the golden boy in the golden car? He carries the number 1, but as we heard from Alan, he is making his debut here at Macau. But it hasn't seemed to slow him down. He had an ABS problem, as you heard. And I have to say, I think that's the first time I've ever seen a reporter interview the entire field, at least what there was left. There's the VLT-sponsored car of the Porsche Centre of Hong Kong, and that is where Darrell O'Young, who drives the car, a former Carrera Cup champion here in Asia and winner of the first 2008 GT race here, but has driven in touring cars and you name it. Chas Mostert, the Austrian has also got a great opportunity here because he was qualified right at the back, and he, as you can see, has remained unscathed, and so too Hiroki Yoshimoto just behind him. He's the next car in line, if you will, as we kind of creep our way down the pit lane. And there is his car. Alan Hyde has made his way back to the booth. He doesn't look too damp. He doesn't look too wet. He looks as though he's rather fresh, actually.
There are spots of rain back in the air again now, you know.
I was just saying, I wonder how wet it is or how wet it's going to be.
Yeah, it's very, very humid.
So you didn't get a drive then?
No. Probably just as well, I think.
Well done, mate. Never easy in those circumstances because they're not usually in the mood to talk. But really, most of the guys you spoke to were just kind of phlegmatic about the fact that actually more disappointed than anything else.
These things happen, yeah. And it's to be expected at Macau. My biggest disappointment of going down to pit lane was that I was so busy having a chat to people, I didn't get a chance to go augmented reality on the BMW Arts car.
Well,
really sorry about that.
There's a whole weekend left.
I've let myself down. I've let you down. I've let everybody down.
It's all right. There's time. Augustus could mentally actually get himself to a reality of winning. So if that happens, well, then we'll all get excited.
That's the repair to Robin Frins's car. They were working feverishly on the car. He was as cool as you like, wasn't he?
Yeah, yeah. And I was just saying, we now have the possibility of an all-German battle with Porsche, Audi, Mercedes, because that's all that's left. we've got German manufacturers only left. We got one Porsche, 2 Porsches. We've got Darrell O'Young, and we've got Yoshimoto. That's all I can see at the moment. And I'm just presuming that might be all that takes part.
They were the only cars there.
How does that bode for tomorrow? I presume the rest get back for tomorrow.
Laurent Vanteur said he thought there were probably 6 cars that would not be able to be repaired for tomorrow.
At all?
Yeah, for tomorrow. So I'm pretty sure that's what he said. But he was disappointed, but good to hear from Laurent Vanteur. Good to see that he was okay as well. Eduardo Mortara was very keen to get back in the car and get on with the job in hand. Mauro Engel it was that made the best of the starts, wasn't it? So with Eduardo Mortara already with the helmet on. Last opportunity to get a bit of fresh air into the car as well before the cars are released onto track. Race restarted behind the safety car, 13:20 local time, so just 1 minute away.
Is the safety car going to take part just to kind of make up the numbers?
It could indeed add, yeah. It could indeed add.
He'd have a good chance, actually. He's got a front row start.
You know what? BMW doing okay because they've still got Augusto Farfus, they've still got Marco Wittmann, they've still got Chas Mostert, Tom Blomqvist's car we're missing.
Now we're looking at where they. First of all, well done, because you wouldn't believe that was the same corner from 20 minutes ago.
Amazing, isn't it?
But I will add that is a heavy braking area, even on a clear day, as they say. But even when the track is absolutely in perfect fettle, that is one of the hardest places to brake because it's braking uphill after coming downhill. And that is, as you know, from the laws of physics, just a hard thing to do. Now, add a bunch of sand, dirt, potential grains of carbon fiber, you name it. And much as they will have done a great job, I'm sure, of clearing it up, it's never going to be 100%. So that corner is always going to be a tough one. I'm not surprised they're going to start behind the safety car, because I think it is a wise move. But, well, we have a rather truncated GT World Cup. And I just wonder what Robin Frins is thinking to himself now, because 1 minute he was nowhere, and if you saw free practice, and many of you wouldn't have done, but Robin Frins was probably one of the top 3 drivers in terms of speed and accuracy.
He was supreme, wasn't he?
Yeah, and he was about to vie for pole position before he had a problem with the ABS and threw it away. And I tell you another man who might well do something here, and that's Daryl O'Young. The Porsche isn't the perfect car here compared to the what happened to Engel? And music for relief, he might need some.
Oh, this is very perplexing.
Oh dear, more drama indeed.
There wasn't even the vaguest hint or suggestion that there was something wrong with the car when I was down there. There was no...
Well, they brought a battery out. Maybe they need to, yeah, maybe they were pushing him and he just didn't get it going. But they're pushing him back, that's for sure. But now he will, to be honest, it's not, if they can get him going, it's not too much of a drama, because he'll just start from the pit lane, from this line here, get the car going, and he'll just, you know, he'll go on to the back of the 7-man grid, which for him shouldn't be too hard to navigate through.
Are we sure whatever problem there is has been rectified? Yeah.
Well, we don't know.
No.
Yes, about time to call 999 then, isn't it?
Emergency.
So, we await the restart, and in what is a bizarre start, but not really if you've seen Macau a fair few times, to our World Cup of GTs. And now you can see them going through the incident, and there's no question, you can see them twisting their tyres, trying to get rid of the dirt and dust on those tyres. It'll clean up as the race goes on, but for the first few laps, for sure, that is going to be a problematic area, and one where you have to be so gentle on the throttle on the exit there. You get that, and you're going to spin it round. Remember how much horsepower is involved here.
So count them through. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 cars in total thread their way around behind the BMW safety car.
And let's get down to the nitty-gritty of where we actually stand, because certain things haven't changed, and one is the BOP. They added 30 kilos to the Mercedes.
It would be a quite remarkable story, wouldn't it? If,
you've got to think BMW and, more importantly, Audi with Roman Frins have got to be thinking, hey, we've got a chance here, and likewise Augusto Farfus.
Well, particularly now we've got Mar Engel down in pit lane as well. Daniel Juncadella.
So the safety car continues, the lights on, and that will signify that no change to the start yet. So everybody just warming up those tyres, not going at the speeds that they normally would behind the safety car. And I always find this a very tough time for the car in front, which is the safety car, has none of the grip, mechanical downforce of the cars behind. And of course the cars behind, as we know in Formula One, are trying desperately to get their temperature into the tyres so they get the ultimate mechanical grip.
The race has now started, the restart, 25 minutes, the rescheduled time of the qualification race for the SJM Macau GT Cup and FIA GT World Cup. So when they cross the line behind the safety car, the 25 minutes started counting down. So this is a racing lap, this one.
Yeah, and Edo is trying to kind of gap the safety car to give himself a chance to get those tyres up to temperature and get the brakes up to temperature. That's another factor here, that also you want to kind of gap the safety car, so to get some heat into those brakes, because the worst possible scenario is that as you come towards Lisboa for the first time without the safety car, those brakes are not at full temperature, and you've got no brakes up. And that ain't the place to be. 2 Mercedes, 2 BMWs, an Audi and a Porsche. It's an all-German affair. It is an all-German affair as they thread their way around, about to get the restart underway properly. And as the last car comes through, the Porsche, they thread their way down to... Now, the question is, has Maro Engel got out? I don't think he has.
No, he's still down in pit lane, I think. Certainly, we've not seen him leave pit lane, so that may be because he cannot be released until the race is properly underway and the safety car is down back safely in pit lane. That potentially is the case.
So the safety car comes down towards the Melco hairpin, which also has got some debris involved in the racing line. Now Maro Engel has got going, but he'll be a lap down because we are racing effectively under the safety car. So Maro will have to do a lot of work if he wants to be anywhere close to this group. But never say never. Still 18 minutes to go, and I'm certainly not going to predict anything.
No, impossible to predict anything at all. Would you have predicted that Robin Frintz, having started on the penultimate row of the grid, would be up here 4th on the track?
Here we go then. The lights off on the safety car, and that means that the Mercedes and the BMW are now weaving their way towards the start, snaking their way here in China at the Macau Grand Prix. Away goes Eduardo Mortara in the number 48, chased by the Brazilian Augusto Farfus. A very small field, but this is the World Cup. We are green. And away we go, and Eduardo Mortara's got a much better start this time. And Yoshimoto at the back, not so much. But everybody cleanly through. Reservoir corner. It's Mortara, Farfus, Marciello, Frins, Ouyang, and Mostart. And already Frins starting to make a move. Everybody through the Mandarin corner. And here comes Farfus already. He's putting big pressure on Mortara, but Mortara's seen it all before. It's quite interesting to see these two absolute brilliant proponents of the Macau Grand Prix who've done it in different ways to get to stardom here, take each other on in very similar cars. An all-German affair now for the World Cup. Well, it's just like the regular soccer World Cup. Whatever happens, somehow the Germans make it to the final.
Just looking back from Eduardo Mortara's car at Augusto Farfus in that number 18 BMW. See just how tight it is.
Yeah, and you can see how close they are to the walls too.
Incredible, isn't it?
Now, Rafael Marciello certainly will fancy his chances, so to speak.
He's got to look in his mirrors because Robin Frintz is looming.
Good start from Edo, and he's going to try to break this. I say early on, there's only 16 minutes left, but Edo's going to try and put the hammer down early. Now, this is the crucial corner. You've got to be very careful under acceleration on the exit of that corner with the dust and dirt down, especially when it's all over your tyres from the get-go coming in there. Look at Frins go, though. He's up to 4th place. Got ahead of the BMWs. They're leaving the Porsche behind. Through Donna Maria they come. 2nd gear through here. No overtaking now from this all-course yellow through the Melco hairpin, and from this point here you can start to overtake again, and Robin Frins is in the move.
He's started the move now. He's closed right up on the back of Marciello as they make their way down from the Melco hairpin, and that's exactly what he needs to do.
Brilliant 2nd sector by Mortara at 128.452, and he is putting the hammer down, and I wouldn't be surprised if this is the fastest lap of all as he extends that lead coming towards our bend. Eduardo Mortara, 5-time winner of the Macau Grand Prix in different forms, but here comes Frins in the Audi, tucking himself up behind the Mercedes. The lights blazing on when this truncated field of World Cup GTs. Down through Reservoir he comes. He's not close enough just yet, but he might just make some ground up now as he tucks himself behind the almighty Mercedes. And what a great sight that is. What a lovely shot that is. Through the Mandarin corner, lights blazing. It seems darker than it really is because it's only local time, 1:30 in the afternoon, but that's because there's looming clouds of rain as Augusto Farfus, Frins, looks to the outside and is very close through Lisboa. He's got the lights blazing all over the back of Marciello, the Italian, as they head up the hill, the San Francisco hill, past the hospital, and down towards Hospital Corner.
Meanwhile, as we look at the Audi of Prince in 4th place, behind the Mercedes of Raffaele Marciello, so too we've looked at Augusto Farfus. Not losing touch with Eduardo Mortara, 1.2 seconds behind as they cross the line. Look, that's where the BMW is compared to the race leader in the Mercedes. They come through this top section, twisty, tight section as we know. But the BMW M6 with Augusto Farfus, DTM driver since BMW returned to DTM in 2012, is staying in touch with the master of Macau. Fair to say they're both masters of Macau.
Yeah, they're pretty much the whole field have got some sort of accolade here at Macau. And so there's nobody who doesn't know it well and doesn't know what it can do if you get it wrong. I'm guesstimating that there are going to be 5, maybe 6 laps to this race, given we've got 14 minutes and roughly 2:21 a lap. Everybody else pensively watches on, from Audi to Porsche to Mercedes. And Robin Frins again, nudging ever closer on the exit of Melco. Down the hill they'll come towards Fisherman's, up through the gearbox. One more time, looking back from the Mercedes as he just glimpses through Fisherman's Bend, and Augusto Farfus flashing the lights at Eduardo Mortara. And I'm sure Edo's thinking to himself, what are you flashing at? This is my race, son.
Well,
this is where I own this place.
Robin Frins has set himself up, and let's see what he can do this time as they go through.
I tell you, he's doing a good job as Chaz Mostert.
Really is,
he really is, because he was nowhere near any of these guys in the qualifying, and now he's holding his own, and he's not that far away, actually, from Frins.
BMW M6 is, rather harrying the Audi as they go through there. Very impressive that. Marciello has pulled away from the Audi. 5 laps completed now.
And everybody in the top 5.
He's put the fastest lap in as Chaz, 2:21.182.
Wow. What a story that is.
Absolutely flying in the BMW.
So BMW have come back to Macau in no uncertain terms and sensed the opportunity to win the World Cup.
Wow, what an amazing opportunity that would be as well. The world's top manufacturers competing here around the streets of Macau.
I'll tell you what, the magazines around the world of auto sport and auto racing and motorsport.com and crash.net, they wouldn't have predicted that BMW would challenge Audi or Mercedes for the World Cup Championship this year, but here we go.
Anything can happen at Macau, and it's proven year after year after year. Eduardo Mortara, 5 laps completed now. Augusto Farfus in 2nd place, Marciello in 3rd place, Robin Frins in 4th place at the completion of 5 laps. And Maro Engel's car is out on track.
And Mostert, in fact, making his debut here, and he's usually a V8 man, and of course this would be a real turn up for the books if he could turn that round. So he has probably the least experienced of anybody out there. Daryl Young still circulating, but in 6th place. He lost a place. And Yoshimoto, we've only got 8 cars out. Finally, Maro Engel is on track, but I suppose it makes it interesting because Maro Engel at least can do himself no harm by finishing this race. He'll start there for 8th position. And there's the boss of Audi Sport, and watching very pensively as he knows all too well that this could be a very different race than anybody could have predicted at the beginning of the weekend. Another lap completed.
Eduardo Mortara has put his foot down.
He has.
In the middle sector, a 1:27.694 equated to briefly a fastest lap of the race until Robin Frins took it away from him, a 2:20.367. So the car, the Audi in 4th place at the moment, has just put in the fastest lap of the race in his pursuit of the final podium position from Marciello.
And he has dropped Mostert a little bit now as Frins, and he's moving up the board, and Raffaele Marciello is his target. Frins with the lights blazing, as everybody is at the moment, because it's so dark down here. The huge crowd in Lisboa enjoying this rather small field, but just as exciting a race. As if you've just joined us, the reason why you're only seeing just 8 cars on track is that there was a huge pile-up at the police corner at the bottom of the hill in the 1st lap, and it involved most of the field, and only the leaders got through. Here is the master at work, and now we can see it's a wonderful onboard shot. You can see him changing gear with his right hand, changing down and then changing up, and then just moving around in the car. Now you start to see just how much physically is impacting on them, and also just how much he doesn't blink as well. Look at that.
No, he is one of the most intense drivers. When you see the in-car shots, he's absolutely focused.
Yeah, look at that.
And you're right, doesn't blink. This wide-eyed look that he has. Oh, just enough time for a couple of blinks there. Yeah, Eduardo Mortara is so incredibly intense at the wheel.
Great onboard shot. That really does show you the man at work, coming out of the Melco and out of Moorish Hill and down towards Donna Maria. This is your leader, looking for his 6th win here and hoping to become the 7th wonder of Macau by the end of the weekend.
Up towards the Melco hairpin. BMW in second. Augusto Farfus, the best of years.
Oh, Robin! He almost bobbing along there for a moment because he almost hit the wall at Melco. He's been pushing hard there all along to try and get good drive out of the Melco hairpin, but he almost went a little too far then through Fisherman's Bend. Oh, and again, he's really on the ragged edge, isn't he?
Really, really close. He was almost indignant when we spoke to him, and as if we were to think it was a mistake that caused him to hit the wall there, other than some kind of a problem with the car, which it proved to be in qualifying. Eduardo Mortara once again puts in the fastest lap of the race on that intense lap we just watched, a 2:19.880 for Edo.
But followed quickly by the Brazilian of Augusto Farfus, who also dropped into the 2:19s, the 2:19.938.
Augusto likes that first section. He was putting in purple sectors again and again on the first section of the circuit yesterday in qualifying.
Well, while we've got a chance, Alan, let's talk about where you make up time at Macau. There are 2 basic options. If you can tuck yourself on the main straight and maybe get a draft from somebody, or if you really go hell-bent for leather and really, really rag it out through this section, the mountain section as we call it, you can get yourself into a position on the exit of Melco, which has kind of been Frin's kind of MO for the last few laps, and put yourself in a position to overtake and get that draft.
And now, once again, Robin Frins is having to look in his mirrors. So this is attack 1 lap, defend another lap. So a huge amount of pressure in the car for Robin Frins. However, I wonder if when this race got underway originally, when he was down on the penultimate row of the grid, if he might have thought he might have finished this one in 4th place. Look how committed he is in the Audi.
He might get committed if he keeps driving like that. That was sideways through there.
He wins stuff, does Robin Frins?
He does win stuff, yeah. Well, here he comes again, and he really is putting the pressure on, and 7 minutes to go, so time running out. And if Robin's going to do anything, I think he's lost a little bit of time, actually, maybe pushing a little too hard. But the Audi's got a great reputation here. Just ask Eduardo Mortara, who's won in this car many times here at Macau, but this is his first attempt at winning for Mercedes, and I think it'll be a really good result for both Edo and the AMG squad if they can pull it off. All of Germany awaits then as the big boys of German manufacturing go head-to-head at the hardest circuit in the world, the Macau Grand Prix. And Eduardo Mortara has a 1.7 second lead, and I think might extend it because he's just done the quickest second sector again, his personal best in the first sector. And now the gap goes from 1.7 to 1.9. Edo is on a mission.
And Schnitzer looked to be on the podium because Augusto Farfus in the number 18 BMW M6 Art car is still there in second place, 1.9 seconds behind Eduardo Mortara. So Mercedes, BMW, Mercedes, Audi, BMW and Porsche. That's the top 6 order.
I'll tell you what's pretty impressive as well. Look at Maro Engel's time, a 2:20 compared to a 2:27 from Yoshimoto. So he's 7 seconds quicker, but sadly 2 laps down.
I wonder what that problem was. Do you think it was just a battery problem down in pit lane?
I don't know. Yeah, it looked like it because he just stalled. I mean, there's no reason. I don't know. We'll find out.
There's the Brazilian in the carbon fibre Art car. A unique next generation Art car, the BMW of Augusto Farfus.
So if he gets on the podium, do we get to see lights above his head?
It's a great idea. It's a great idea. Just search for it online and have a look at the BMW Art Car. That's what you get if you point your augmented reality BMW Art Car app at the back of Augusto Farfus's car. So Mortara continues to lead, 8 laps completed, just about 5 minutes of the race remaining, and a completely unpredictable race, this one. Who would have thought that we'd have 8 cars taking the checkered flag at the end?
Yes, in order to finish first you must finish. Yeah. That's what they say, but really not a lot of folks at fault for the accident. It really just was a pile-up, quite simply, a typical pile-up at Macau, and whoever's fault it was doesn't really matter. There were several cars, most of the field involved in it, and wherever you're tuning in from the Americas late at night to the early hours in the UK and Europe, or if you're here live in China watching it across the internet, we welcome you to the 64th running of the Macau Grand Prix, and you're watching the FIA GT World Cup qualification race. This just the appetizer before the main course, and well, we woofed it down quickly, I can tell you that, because we've only got 8 cars left. And across the line comes Eduardo Mortara, a 19.3 this time, just 3/10 quicker than Augusto Farfus, but enough to keep him happy and at least comfortable that Augusto Farfus isn't going to challenge him. Rafael Marciello, though, could perhaps raise a challenge. I think they'll have one more lap after this. Marciello currently in 3rd position. Try to put some pressure on Augusto Farfus and make it a 1-2 for Mercedes. That's his job in the 888. Meanwhile, Robin Frins has, I think, settled for 4th place at this stage, and frankly, given what's happened over the weekend, both up and down for Robin, I think he'll be happy to be starting the 2nd race of the weekend for Audi in 4th position.
No one comes away from Macau without a story, and Robin Fritz's story, as you say, up and down.
6th place, Darrell O'Young in the VLT Porsche. And he's had some wonderful moments. A multiple champion in the Carrera Cup Asia, Darrell O'Young. He's playing in World Touring Cars, of course. He's raced at Le Mans, class winner there. And Eduardo Mortara, well, his Formula 3 career did not take him to Formula 1, but his Macau career has taken him right through the stratosphere in terms of notoriety. And when you get this car by this manufacturer, you know you've made it. No question that they picked him, hand-picked him to do this race on this day, to do this job. And he's doing it. It's like an astronaut. He's got the mission, and he's doing the perfect launch so far. And he's in his own planet for sure, because look at him go. Now, under pressure is Augusto Farfus, because Marciello is all over the back of him as they come down the hill again. And last lap for Augusto was 2:19.6, and Rafael was just slightly quicker, but only by a 10. But he might just be able to tuck himself in there with 2 minutes to go. That means we'll definitely get this next lap in.
Maro Engel on the last lap with the fastest lap at 2:19.157. We're looking at the number 18 BMW Art Car. It is the 18th Art Car, that's why it's number 18, of Augusto Farfus, with Raffaele Marciello looming ever bigger in the BMW's mirrors. On to another lap. 10 laps are in the book now. Robin Frins has put in the fastest lap of the race on that lap, 2:19.153. I think just about everybody has had a fastest lap during this race.
I know, it's bizarre, isn't it?
It really
Through
is.
he comes.
Trading fastest laps.
And this is, of course, the last lap. Can Rafael Marciello do something here as they go into Lisboa? Sadly, though, there's really not a lot of places to overtake in this section of the track. He'd have to tuck himself right up at the Melco and make a challenge, but I don't think really it's necessary in these circumstances, and I think we will be, as we are right now, for the last lap of this GT qualification race. What a Macau Grand Prix. It's exploded into life with a sensational Formula 3 race, a brilliant touring car local race, if you will, and there's more to come. Ha! The motorcycles have yet to get onto the track, so don't go to bed just yet, folks, or don't get out of bed just yet. because it's all still to happen here at Macau.
And this just goes to prove that it's not a bad thing if you qualify on the back row of the grid, because Chaz Mostert is exactly what he did. He was on the final row of the grid for the first start. He's going to finish this race in 5th place.
And what a story for Eduardo Mortara. He came here not as a relative unknown, but as a typical Formula 3 driver in terms of he made some hay in Europe and everybody knew in the Formula 3 circles who he was, but then he dominated, and he dominated both races that he came to. He came back the second year, was back-to-back winner, and then said, right, I'm going for 3 in a row. But he went for 3 in a row, but in a GT car. And from there on in, he's never looked back, because he became, or got the moniker of Mr. Macau by winning 5 times in all, including a one-make Audi race as well. And so from there on in, Mr. Macau, as they know, Eduardo Mortara, comes to Macau once again, but with a new manufacturer, and he will take AMG Mercedes to victory here at Macau as he takes the checkered flag. Mr. Macau is back to winning ways after disappointment last year. He's done it again, but it's only the qualification race. Meanwhile, Augusto Farfus, who's also got a pretty splendid record here at Macau in touring cars, is now stepping into GTs with Schnitzer BMW. And so too Raffaele Marciello. The Italian takes 3rd place for Mercedes, and Robin Frins, having started 17th, finishes 4th place ahead of Chaz Mostert in 5th. Daryl O'Young 6th, Hiroki Yashimoto in 7th position, and Maro Engel, who failed to get out of the pit lane at the start of this race in the Mercedes, crosses the line in 8th position, and he too is in the 2:19s. And in fact, if I look down the board, he did get the fastest. In fact, he just missed out on the fastest lap of all, and that goes to Robin Frins, but he was what, 7,000ths of a second off that fastest lap. So Maro Engel still on the pace.
8 finishers in total for our qualification race, and a number of cars will be hastily being repaired now. Looking forward to the FIA GT World Cup tomorrow, because so many of them damaged in that first lap incident. Such a shame. Such a shame. Only 8 cars taking the checkered flag. Maro Engel being the final one of them, as if we didn't have enough drama, not being able to take the restart, had to start from the pit lane. Wow.
What are your thoughts?
My thoughts are Robin Frins continues to be incredibly impressive on his debut at Macau. My thoughts also in that it's a very welcome return to Schnitzer to Macau.
Yeah, that's good.
Augusto Farfus 2nd on the podium. And my final thought, Eduardo Mortara rules the roost at Macau.
My thoughts are, I'm sad for Marcus Pommer, who looked so good. I'm sad for Jucadella, for Rosenquist, a 2-time winner here. Renger van der Zand, likewise. Marco Wittmann, Tom Blomqvist, Laurent Van Tor. We've been robbed of some of the finest racing proponents of these sorts of cars anywhere in the world. And sadly, well, I say robbed, we were today. Maybe not tomorrow. Could make things very interesting tomorrow. So let's take a look at the results then of the FIA GT World Cup qualification race. Mortara wins the race then ahead of Augusto Farfus of Brazil, Raffaele Marciello in 3rd place, Robin Frins of the Netherlands in 4th, Chaz Mostert in 5th place, Daryl O'Young 6th, Hiroki Yoshimoto in 7th, and Maro Engel, the only finisher at the back of those top 8. So 8 finishers, but how many will we get for the start of the second race, the final race, the race for the World Cup, and the Manufacturers World Cup, I may add, tomorrow? Hopefully we'll get as many of the field as we possibly can, but some, sadly, may be missing after that massive pile-up. It's been a fascinating start to the weekend for sure, and there's plenty more to come from the mighty Macau Grand Prix. So, into the pits they come. And Edo can relax now. Well, just about. Undo the zips, undo the belts. And I wonder what his reaction will be as he gets out of the car. One of, I mean, to be honest, it was an easy day at the office for Eduardo, really, wasn't it?
It was. I was trying to judge his mood down in pit lane when I had a chat to him.
He seemed a little bit off. I don't mean like to you, but
he didn't seem bouncy, did he?
He didn't seem himself, no.
Is it because Mar Engel got a very, very good start?
Or is it because he's a factory Mercedes driver and you have to be that way?
Oh, you have to be more serious.
You have to be more Teutonic and German and serious.
Okay, I reckon it was probably because his teammate got a better start.
Well, to be honest, I know when I do interviews like that, it's hard to actually hear and take in what's being said. And what he said was, and you're right, he was upset by, he basically used the words jump start. So he wasn't happy with the start. And then he said, I didn't want to crash, so I didn't do anything. You know, he basically made as though, you know, none of it was his fault. There you go, an Italian, a Brazilian, and, well, a Swiss, but he's really Italian. Walk into a racetrack and have a long chat afterwards. There's a joke there somewhere.
There is. Struggling to get out. And
they're just talking about where they're going to have a drink later. There's Robin Friends
in the background. Well, Edo looks a bit more bouncy now, doesn't he?
Yes, he does. A little bit more happy. Good result for Augusto. He hasn't been here for a few years. He is definitely an expert here, but it's one thing to be an expert here. It's another to come here every year.
Robin's going with them. Come on the podium too.
What the heck? Well, there's certainly room in the press conference. You can have all 8 in the press conference.
Good. And they've all got a story to tell as well.
Yeah. Well, everybody's getting a pat on the back for a job well done. What a bizarre race, though, in many ways.
It was, yeah.
So they'll make their way up to the podium. And don't forget, more to come. If that wasn't enough, we've got a World Championship for touring cars coming up next.
Paddock gate will open in 3 minutes.
3 minutes, the paddock gate will open, and we'll be doing it all again. But while we await for the podium, why don't we take a look at the highlights from the FIA GT World Cup. Well, it began with a kiss and a wave and a thumbs up here or there. And then it was wave bye-bye, and off we go. To the races we went. Juncadella, who's been here many times before and knows the perils of making that kind of move. But that was just the first. Because down towards Mandarin, they all went into line astern or side by side. Mercedes won by Marrow into Lisboa and then through into this moment at Police, which was catastrophic in many ways. And I'd estimate about 50 million's worth of damage to those beautiful, beautiful supercars. But there you go. Even a surprise to the likes of Audi and Porsche and Mercedes, who've seen it all before. In they rolled, only 4 cars. And then only 7 in fact, would leave the pits, as the man who they expected to lead them out, Maro Engel, did not. So we were down to 7. And the 7 mighty GT cars went at it, led by Eduardo Mortara and chased by Augusto Farfus into almost the night sky, because it's very dull and overclouded, but thankfully no rain. Robin Frins tried to make an impression on Rafael Marciello, and he came pretty close. That was about the closest he got. And likewise, Farfus tried to close in on the leader, Eduardo Mortara. But the non-blinking and the affable Italian, the man they know as Mr. Macau, takes another mark to victory here. But this time, it's Mercedes' turn as they take step 1 of 2. And it's 1-0 in the World Cup, and it's half-time. And as the AMG boys gather underneath the podium, we just wait for them to gather themselves up. Busy high-fiving in the background, I'm sure.
I'm sure they are.
Sharing stories.
The cars going round to the grid for the WTCC
dulcet tones of Titchmarsh
opening race. So
alerts us to the fact that we are almost ready to go.
In third place, Raffaele Marciello for Mercedes.
And as he says, third place to the number 888 of Raffaele Marciello of Italy.
Paddock gate is now open.
Second place from Brazil, Augusto Farfus.
Well done, Augusto.
We've seen the podium here at Macau many times before.
And the winner at Macau yet again, Eduardo Mortara for Mercedes.
6 wins now for the mighty Eduardo
And now
Mortara.
to make the presentation to the third place finisher, can I ask Mr. Arnaldo Ho to come forward, the Assistant Chief
And the Assistant Chief Operating Officer of SJM will be handing out the prizes, first of all, to Raffaele Marciello.
And the trophy.
And then for the second place, number 18 of Augusto Farfus. It's the director of SJM, and that, of course, is Dr. Rui Kunua. Wouldn't be surprised if he's met Augusto before. I don't know how many times he's been to Macau, but it's probably about 6 or 7. And once again, on the podium, Augusto. What a great moment for the Brazilian. And finally, to the winner of the race, the chairman of the board of directors for SJM. And of course, SJM, as you can see, the sponsor of this event, as Dr. Ambrose So hands out the prizes to the top 3.
And if all drivers get onto the top of the podium,
so a familiar scene here at Macau with Mortara on top of the world once again. And as I said, he now wins for the German manufacturer that is AMG Mercedes. It's 1-0 to Germany in the World Cup, but it's only half-time. We'll see you next time.
So, thank you very much. We'll have a quick word, if I may, with the drivers. Thank you. Before you disappear, guys, can we just have a quick word? Eduardo, congratulations. Is this your 7th or 8th? We can count that, can't we, I think?
No, I don't think we can. I mean, tomorrow is the one that is counting, and I mean, I got extremely lucky, to be honest, today. Well, not really at the start. I mean, I respected the rules, and
somebody else didn't.
Second, I mean, yeah, whatever. Lost the start, and then Mauro was in front of me. Got extremely lucky because I mean, he couldn't start the car, and he should have been probably ending in front of me. But anyway, be happy with this race, and now we go into position for.
With the rain in the air, was the track more slippery? Was the track more slippery because of the rain in the air, making the surface a bit slippery?
Yeah, I mean, you couldn't have actually worse conditions today. No. The oil on track, and then they put a lot of filler in order to absorb the oil. It was raining, so you never knew pretty much, you know, what kind of grip you were getting in the corners, and it was very easy to do a mistake today. I mean, Augusto behind me was pushing really hard, so.
And if anybody knows Macau, you do, so you know all the pitfalls, all the dangers that they might come across. So you had a little bit in hand all the way through.
Not that much.
Not that much,
yes, a little bit. Of course, you don't want to do a mistake, so you're not pushing 100%. But I wasn't like cruising.
Anyway, I think we're still going to count that as a win at Macau. Well done, Eduardo Mortara. And in second place, Augusto, you were keeping the pressure on, but never quite able to make a move to try and take the lead.
Yeah, I mean, looking from where we start, we didn't expect to be P2. And yeah, I was trying to be close to Edo, but he had such a strong pace through the city. So I was a little bit farther than him through the fast section here, but was not quite enough. But at least P2 is good for the final race where it counts.
Yes, you certainly had the pace down the straight, didn't you? And you made a very good start at the very beginning of the race as well, didn't you?
Yeah, we just have to repeat the same and push from there on. So I'm pleased to be back. I'm driving an art car, so it's extremely honor for me. The car is doing well. My last time with Schnitzer here, I won the race.
Yes, of course. Yes, remember that.
So,
yeah.
I mean, it would be great to come back here and win it again.
Well, it'd be great if you got into the touring car race now. But, of course, BMW aren't doing it anymore.
Yeah, I mean, I had great years in touring cars with Schnitzer, and now we are back here with the GT, again with Charlie, Mike, all my guys from Schnitzer and BMW Motorsport, so hopefully can achieve a good result tomorrow.